So we'll try one more of these solving right triangle problems. Okay, in this case I'm actually given leg B, which is 3 feet, and angle B, which is 76 degrees. Alright, so again I can use my same general boring picture of a right triangle. Okay, and in this case I'm going to try to make it a little bit more accurate. Right, that's why I extended that line a little further there. B is 76 degrees, so B is clearly going to be larger than A. So out of those two acute angles there, I would call this one B because it's bigger, and then that one would be A, and of course the right angle is C. So then the hypotenuse is C, and then the leg opposite A is A, and the leg opposite B is B. So I can just label now stuff. Alright, so I know B, so this is 3 feet, and I know that angle B is 76 degrees. So again, the first thing I would find is the other angle, because that's the easiest thing to do, really, right? I know that angle A is just going to be 90 degrees, because now I'm dealing in degrees, minus 76 degrees, which is going to be 14 degrees. So angle A is 14 degrees, so that's done. That's the easy part. And now, let's say I want to find leg A, right? So leg A is going to be adjacent 76 degrees, and I know the opposite leg, which is 3. So I'm working with the opposite and the adjacent, so again I'm going to use the tangent. Right? I know the tangent of that angle, the tangent of 76 degrees, is going to be the leg opposite, which is 3, divided by the leg adjacent, which is A. And then again, cross multiplying, I would have A times the tangent of 76 degrees equals 3, and then just divide by the tangent of 76. So I would have A equals 3 divided by the tangent of 76 degrees. So A is going to be approximately, right? And now we have to switch this on our calculator to to degree mode. So we have 3 divided by the tangent of 76, not 79, 76, which is 0.75, right, if we round to 2 decimal places. So this is actually going to be 0.75 feet, which is basically 9 inches, right? If we were changing it into inches, 3/4 feet is 9 inches. But again, we'll check this at the end, because I mean, you see that answer and you say, "Ew, is that right?" Well, we'll see at the end if it makes sense. So A is 0.75 feet. And then now let's say I want to find the hypotenuse, right? So C is the hypotenuse. And again, I'm going to use the thing that I was given originally, which was the leg opposite, which was 3. So I have the angle, I have the opposite, and I'm trying to find the hypotenuse. So which trig functions deals with the opposite and the hypotenuse? That would be the sine. Right? So I know the sine of 76 degrees by definition is just equal to the opposite, right, the leg opposite, which is 3, over the hypotenuse, which is C, which is what I'm trying to find. Again, cross multiply, so C times the sine of 76 degrees equals 3, and then divide by the sine of 76 degrees. So I have 3 divided by the sine of 76 degrees. So the hypotenuse is going to be approximately, let's see what I get when I do 3 divided by the sine of 76. I would get 3.09. So the hypotenuse is going to be 3.09 feet. So that's my hypotenuse, right? So I was given one leg and one angle. I found the other angle, the other leg, and the hypotenuse. And again, this one seems a little bit fishy, so you might want to check this one definitely using the Pythagorean theorem. So if I do a squared plus b squared, so a was 0.75 squared, b was 3, so squared, so 0.75 squared plus 3 squared, that's 9.5625. Now that should be roughly the same as when I do 3.09 squared, right, which is 3 squared. I'm sorry, which is c squared. So I get 9.5481. So yeah, pretty close. So it probably works. Right? And again, the other thing to remember is when you have a right triangle, the smallest side is opposite the smallest angle. So A should be the small side because the angle that is opposite A is just only 14 degrees. So it's a pretty small angle. So it makes sense that a small side is opposite a small angle. And then 3 is opposite the 76 degrees, and then 3.09 is opposite the right angle. So yeah, it does make sense. It's just a little bit weird getting a decimal, I think, as a length of a side, right, and a number less than 1. But it works out. Okay. And the other thing that you might have noticed here, and this is something that you can kind of memorize if you really want to, is in this problem here, what we had was we had our two unknowns in both equations in the denominator. And what happens when the unknown is in the denominator, we end up dividing the other side that we know by the trig function. So right here we had 3 divided by the sine of 76. Here we had 3 divided by the tangent of 76. So when the unknown is in the denominator, we end up dividing by the trig function. And then the other one that we did, let's say over here, right, our unknown was in the numerator. So when our unknown is in the numerator, what do we end up doing? We end up actually multiplying by the trig function. So if you want to kind of like memorize that, you can, right? If the unknown's in the numerator, you're multiplying by the trig function. If the unknown is in the denominator, you're dividing by the trig function. That can just save you a little bit of time if you get confused in these solving triangle problems.